welcome back to my channel, and if you are new here, hello, my name is Jackie, and today's look is inspired by the Greek goddess and queen of the underworld, Persephone. Persephone is a daughter of the Greek god Zeus and goddess Demeter. One day she was sent to Hades of the underworld, whom she later learned to love and began to rule with. This look is inspired by the Greek myth of Persephone, how she ruled the underworld during the cold weather and rises up when spring begins. As a goddess that is so busy being a queen for almost a whole year, we need to make sure that our eyeshadow stays on. Not only the longevity is important, but also the vibrancy. In order to satisfy those needs, I will be prepping my eyelids with the NYX Glitter Primer and the NYX Liquid Suede Lipstick in the color Cherry Skies. To blend that out, I added the NYX Primal Color Pressed Pigment in Hot Red. I am now using the Gotcha Covered Concealer from NYX to use the technique of cutting the crease. To make it easier, all I do is look up and use the transfer line as a guide to help cut the crease. To set the concealer in, I'm picking up the orange shade from the Ultimate Brights palette from NYX. I will be packing the orange shade on the outer corner and inner corner, leaving the middle bare. We will be doing a spotlight or halo eye. Those are the two common names for this eyeshadow technique. I use a small pencil brush to blend out the colors in the inner and outer corners and the crease. Here I'm doing the same thing, I'm just using a fluffier brush to do so. Using the excess of the concealer on my brush from earlier, I'll be creating the base for the spotlight effect. To intensify the next eyeshadow, I wet my brush with the NYX setting spray. To add the highlight in the middle of the eyelid, I use the NYX Ultra Pearl Loose Pigment in Yellow Gold. I pack the eyeshadow on instead of rubbing it in along my eyelid to prevent as much fallout as possible, and you should always blend your eyeshadow as much as possible. Moving on to the other eye, I prepped it with the NYX Soft Matte Lip Cream in the color Moscow. I blended that out with the NYX Single Eyeshadow in the color Asphyxiation. To help blend out the edges of the eyeshadow, I like to use the NYX Studio Finishing Powder. Mimicking the same steps from before, I'll be cutting my crease with the same Gotcha Covered Concealer from NYX. To set the concealer, I picked up the color Asphyxiation once again to pack it on into the inner and outer corners. For the middle shadow, I wet my brush, of course, and then I used the NYX Ultra Pearl Loose Pigment in Baby Blue. To blend the eyeshadows, I then picked up a little bit of Asphyxiation and Raven NYX Single Shadows to create a bluish black color for more depth. To clean up, I first removed the tape and then I used a makeup wipe. The tape is used as a guideline for the eyeshadows and it makes it easier to clean up afterwards. Moving on to the face and body, I primed using the NYX Hydra Touch Oil Primer. To cover up some imperfections and to highlight the face, I use a brightening concealer. For my base, I mix a little of the NYX Pro Foundation Mixer in Opalescent and the NYX Total Control Drop Foundation in Alabaster for a pale base to intensify the shadows and paints. I use a beauty sponge to apply the product all over my face and body. To apply, you want to pounce the beauty sponge into your skin to achieve the most flawless application. To set everything in, I use the NYX HT Studio Finishing Powder with a big fluffy brush. To add some color to the face, I use a stippling brush to stipple on the NYX Ombre blush in the color Insta Flame. We want to create a gradient of the color on our face for the contour, blush, and highlight. Next, adding an orange shade, lighter than our first red shade, called Feel the Heat from the NYX Ombre blush. To help blend the contour colors more, I used some of the powder from earlier. On a smaller and more precise brush, I picked up the NYX Primal Colors Pressed Pigment in Hot Fuchsia. This is the final contour step and it will add more depth. I took a smaller brush to finish the contouring on my face. I repeated the same process on the other side of my face, the blue side, using a black, navy, and a brighter blue eyeshadow. Moving back up to the eyes, I use the NYX Primal Colors Pressed Pigment in Hot Red and I smudge that along my lower lash line. Same thing to the other eye using the NYX Single Shadow in Asphyxiation. Setting everything in with the NYX setting spray. While the face is still wet, I dusted the blue side of my face with the NYX Ultra Pearl Loose Shadow in Baby Blue. I put this on the highest points of my face as a highlight. Repeating the same step on the other side, I use the NYX Ultra Pearl Loose Pigment in Yellow Golden. To finish off the eyes, add your favorite mascara and eyelashes. For the lips, I first canceled out all the natural color on my lips with the NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil in Milk. Then, to mimic the effect of eating the seeds of the forbidden fruit, a pomegranate, just like Persephone did, and that is how she was forever bound to the underworld, I added the NYX Soft Matte Lip Cream in Copenhagen to the center of my lips in order to achieve this effect. Then I added the yellow gold pigment as a highlight. There is no limit when it comes to highlighting, so I also dusted my chest with the same loose pigment from NYX in Yellow Gold. Now for the fun part. Using the NYX Gel Liner in Betty and a small eyeliner brush, I traced out a border surrounding the blue side of my face, which is the winter side. Next, I drew some tree branches coming off the edge of the border using a lighter pressure towards the end of the branch. Doing so will help make it look more realistic as it possibly can. Adding a good amount of space between each branch is important. We will be adding some flowers and leaves later on. To add some depth, I added the black eyeshadow Raven from NYX along the edge of the border and blending it into the contour. Using a reference picture of the flowers from the pomegranate tree, I used the NYX Soft Matte Lip Cream in Copenhagen to draw the flowers onto the tree branches. I made 3 small lines and then filled in the spaces with smaller lines to draw the flowers in. For the leaves, I used the NYX Gel Liner in Danielle. To make the flowers come alive, I used the NYX Gel Liner in Emma. I just went over the red petals using light strokes to highlight. My absolute favorite part of the whole look and the hardest because I have to freehand it, but have no fear. It is also very easy to get away with any mistakes in this part because it's all about blending. I used a red eye pencil to trace out an anatomical heart as best as I could. It was all backwards for me and I didn't use a stencil, so if there are any cardiologists watching this, I am so sorry. I roughly filled the heart in with the NYX SFX cream color paint in red. To add some depth, I used a little bit of the blue and black shadows we have used in this video. Then I took the excess of the brush with the red paint and used that to blend in the colors together. On a small brush, I picked up some of the red SFX paint from NYX and I made an outline for the pomegranates that I will draw inside the heart. The reason why I'm drawing pomegranates inside of the heart is because Hades gained Persephone's trust when he offered her a pomegranate. That was the key to her heart. To bring out the highlights, I used a NYX gel liner in Emma. It is crucial to keep blending throughout this process. Go back and forth when adding the shadows and highlights. When there's a shadow, there is always a highlight. When you are finally satisfied with your drawing, move on to the next step. As for the next step, we want to mimic what we created on her face onto her chest. Using the NYX gel liner in Betty, I lightly added some tree branches facing towards the heart. We want to enclose the heart with the tree branches. Once you place the branches where you want, you can then add layers to the liner to intensify the color. To fill in the empty spaces, I used the NYX SFX cream color in black. I first added a light layer of this to test out if I liked the idea or not. I ended up really liking it and I painted both of my upper arms with it. Here I am adding a highlight to the flower petals. As you can see, all I did was repeat the process we did on our face earlier in this video. If you would like to see the process again, feel free to go back and rewatch it. I didn't like how basic my arms looked, so I decided to add some shimmer using the star of this video. The NYX Ultra Pearl Loose Pigment makes everything so much better in my opinion. There is no such thing as too much shimmer. The color is baby blue. And that concludes this very special video. This is my entry video to the NYX Face Awards 2018 USA. I hope you all liked this video. It was so much fun to create and very nerve-wracking as well. I've been putting off entering for a few years, so I'm very excited to be finally entering this year. If you liked what you saw today and you'd like to support me, don't forget to comment, rate, share, and subscribe. I'll see you all in my next video.